I guess we're live. Hold on. All right. What's going on, everyone? Gonna wait a second here. People trickle in. You can tell they're watching this right now. You know exactly what we're talking about here. And I wish I had some music to play for you, but I got copyright struck. So I'll wait a few seconds here, maybe a few minutes. I know I don't have much time before this game starts, and my apologies for that. Work went a little long, usually done at 6 o'clock. Things, of course, weren't working as they normally do, so I'm on here a little bit late. And, of course, I get on here late, and it's showing me I have 0 people in here. So, again, I'm going to wait a little. I'm going to wait. No need to rush this, considering the fact that the Knicks don't play for another 25, 30 minutes. They're on TNT. That game will probably start on time. The ABC games don't. But TNT is a little better with it. All right, screw it. I got 2 people in here. That's enough for me. Oh, what's on? What's going on, everyone? I'm Bryce Gelman, and it's another Knicks game night. And honestly, one that I've been, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I haven't been excited for any of these games, but this is definitely one that I'm the most excited for. The Knicks have an opportunity tonight to advance to their first conference finals in 25 years. 25 years. Before I was born, before the majority of people who are probably watching this were born. Not my old-ass dad and his friend, but anyone else on this stream probably was not born the last time the Knicks made the Eastern Conference Finals, in which, funny enough, they played the Indiana Pacers in 2000 in the Eastern Conference Finals. And if they win this game tonight, they'll be facing off against none other than the Indiana Pacers, which might be the best Knicks rivalry in the history of the franchise. You look at their battles in the 90s. You look at who knocked the Knicks out the last time they were really good before this era of the Knicks, 2013. They get knocked out by the Pacers. They faced the Pacers last year in a hard-fought 7-game series. The Knicks were injured all over. They still take it to 7. They lose in 7. In 2000, they lost to the Pacers. The Pacers made the finals, got destroyed by the Lakers. You catch my drift. It is a historic and storied rivalry. And I'm not getting ahead of myself. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that it's definitely going to happen. The Knicks need to close out and win, especially tonight. With the amount of rest the Pacers are going to get after winning last night and advancing the Eastern Conference Finals last night, they're going to have a lot of rest. The Knicks need to close it out tonight. And you may ask, you may look at me and say, oh, Bryce, why you dress so nice? Why you're wearing your watch? And, let me just tell you this. This is representative of the fact that the Knicks mean business tonight. They have to take care of business. So I'm dressed business casual. I thought that would be a fun little thing. The second this ends, I'm going to throw on my jersey and look like an absolute freaking idiot. But this game, this series, did you ever think you were going to get to this point? Did you ever think that the Knicks would have an opportunity to win this series in 5 games? I certainly did not. I did not. And I don't know many other people that thought this as well. They maybe thought the Knicks would win in 6. They maybe thought the Knicks would win in 7. I thought they were absolutely crazy. If you thought the Knicks would win in 5, you probably should have been put in an insane asylum. No one expected what we saw, especially over the course of the first 2 games of the series. The Knicks going to Boston, stealing both those games. The Celtics shooting 25% from 3 in both of those games. The first game missing the most threes in playoffs history. I think actually NBA history for that stat. But no one expected that. No one expected the Knicks to show up in the clutch. No one expected Mikal Bridges to single-handedly will the Knicks to victory in that game 2 and game 1 at the end of the game and game 2 at the end of that game with 2 amazing defensive plays. I don't think anyone expected that. Again, you'd be lying if you told me that you had the Knicks in 5 or even 6. But we're at this point. And whether you expected it or not, this is our current reality. The Knicks have an opportunity to close out a series in which the other team was favored at minus 1,000. If you don't bet, if you're not a betting man or a betting woman, we're not assuming genders here, That is a huge favorite. That's a massive favorite. I can't quote this. I don't know the stat, but based off recent NBA history, it might be the biggest favorite amongst two teams that are only separated by one seed in a certain conference. I cannot remember the last time a number 3 versus a number 2 series had a favorite that heavy. So the Celtics were minus 1,000 in the series, even before last game, even before game 4, in which the Knicks won. You could sit here and tell me they won it because Jason Tatum went out. When Jaylen Brown turns that ball over, OG Anunoby dunks it, Jason Tatum withering in pain on the floor. The Knicks were up 9. So I don't want to hear that. But before game 4, the Celtics were still minus 300 to win this series. With one more game at the Garden, the Knicks up 2-1. The amount of disrespect by the sports books, by the talking heads in the media, by casual fans, by Knicks fans themselves, including myself, was off the charts. And this team, time and time and time again, has proven us wrong. It's not just Jalen Brunson. It's not just Karl-Anthony Towns. It's the supporting cast as well. It's Mikal Bridges, who played an amazing fourth quarter in games 2 and 4. It's OG Anunoby, who has been elite on both ends of the ball. It's been Mitchell Robinson being the absolute X factor in this series. It doesn't just start with the guys at the top. It extends to all 7 of the guys who have really been playing in this rotation. That is why we are at this point. And it's why, I didn't expect the Knicks to be here. It's why I had no hope in the Knicks getting to a game 6 or a game 7, much less be up 3-1 with the chance to close out the series in Boston at a game 5, because I did not expect the entire team to rise to the occasion like they have. I did not expect them to play the defending champions worse, or I guess better than they played the Pistons, who took them to 6 games and could have won that series. But I underestimated what that Pistons series did for the Knicks. I underestimated how that finally allowed the Knicks to find their identity. And that is why they are at the current spot that they are at. In a game 5 at TD Garden with the chance to close out the defending champions in 5 games. And would I be as confident as I am right now if Jason Tatum was playing? No. But would I be confident the Knicks would win one of the next 3 games? Absolutely. But considering the fact that this is the reality that we live in, considering the fact, again, Jason Tatum's out, Kristaps Porzingis has been an absolute shell of himself. He's been terrible. Jaylen Brown has been unable to step up and be a serviceable second option. You can look at his stats. You could tell me he's averaging 20.5 points per game. Yeah, I'm 37% from the field. You want to know what he's shooting from 3? And before the series, I saw this guy put out an article. It was well written, but at the time I thought it was absolutely insane and asinine. He said, maybe Tom Thibodeau should put Karl-Anthony Towns on Jaylen Brown and hedge off him and let him shoot 3s. And I looked at that and I said, well, he shot 35+%. I think he was 8 of 18 from 3, which is around 42% after that Magic series. And I said, I responded, I'm like, what are you, crazy? Jaylen Brown hit 8 for 18 threes. Well, you want to know what he's done this series, and credit to whoever wrote that article. It might have been a guy with the Strickland Knicks Fan TV or, Knicks Film School, all these amazing, places where you could find some Knicks commentary and Knicks news. Shameless plug for all of them. But Jaylen Brown is shooting 22.6% from 3 this series. So the guy hit the nail on the head. Completely did. And credit to him again. I think it might have been Frank Barrett. I'm not exactly sure. But either way, the Knicks haven't needed to even hedge off. I mean, I can only imagine what they're going to do tonight. I'd assume that OG Anunoby will be faced off against Jaylen Brown. And for the first time in this series, Jaylen Brown will find it extremely difficult to get whatever he wants. And it's not like he's taken the opportunities that have been given to him. And his poor shooting numbers, can't just be attributed to him playing poorly. They also could be attributed to how well Mikal Bridges has played defensively on him this series. And there were times in Game 4 where Mikal was put on Derek White because of how well Derek White was shooting it from downtown. But over the majority of the series, Mikal Bridges has been matched up against Jaylen Brown. I was going to mention this, Jeff. Took the words right out of my mouth. 24.7% of purchases are coming from the state of New York for Game 5 of Celtics versus Knicks tonight per at TickPick. And that isn't even including the amount of Knicks fans in Boston. I can only imagine it's 5 to 10% of people who would actually attend the game. But Knicks fans are everywhere. Some New Yorkers moved to Boston and vice versa. I mean, there were a lot of Celtics fans that I saw in the Garden at Game 3. I can only imagine it would be slightly less at TD Garden than what we saw at the Garden with all the Celtics fans as opposed to the Knicks fans at TD Garden. But that's a very interesting and intriguing stat right there. And again, if you missed it, 24.7% of purchases are coming from the state of New York for Game 5. I think that that's due to a multitude of factors, and one of them being how dejected the normal Celtics fan, the average Celtics fan is right now after what happened to Jason Tatum. And you hate to see it. And I said on my last live stream after the Knicks won Game 4 that, again, prayers out to him. You hate to see it. We didn't know definitively what actually happened to Tatum. I saw some people out there who said, based off his reaction, it could be an ankle injury with how much pain he was in. You didn't necessarily see Damian Lillard, Aaron Rodgers, or Kobe Bryant withering in pain on the ground. Jason Tatum was. Maybe he was being overly dramatic, whatever. That's not important. What's important is the fact that he did tear his Achilles, and it is one of the most. I really like. He's 27 years old in the prime of his career on the defending champion Boston Celtics. It might be the most monumental injury that we've seen in years. Seriously, I sit here and tell you that, and again, I just mentioned a few names, one of them being Rodgers in football. I know that doesn't necessarily count, but it's huge. And it impacts the future of the Eastern Conference, not just the Celtics, but every other team as well. And I'm not going to say the Knicks are really benefiting off of the injury, but they are. Like, let's call a spade a spade. It sucks that he got hurt, but the Knicks are going to benefit from this, not just this year, but next year as well. And I'm going to say this right now, and don't think that I'm being, whatever, like hateful or, you hope that Tatum comes back healthy and you hope that he makes a full recovery. There's no guarantee that he is the same player after. And you have to say that after every major injury that someone faces in any sport, but he's in his prime. He's got a lot of athleticism. The majority of his game relies on his high release point and his ability to get up in his jump shot. And it relies on his ability to create separation on the fadeaway and the step back. Is he going to be as adept at making those moves and getting to his spots after the Achilles injury? Time will tell. Obviously, you hope he makes a full recovery. The NBA and the Eastern Conference are better when Jason Tatum is healthy. So again, prayers out to him. And again, like, this is really good for the Knicks. And it's good for the Cavs. It's good for the Pistons. It's good for the Magic. All these teams in the Eastern Conference who are looking to make some noise next year. It's really good. It's really good. And it sucks, again. Tatum, you got to feel for him. He's a good dude. As much as people like to hate on him, he seems like a really nice guy. And, it sucked to see that reaction for him. But, yeah, I mean, listen, it's making me a lot more confident going into this game. I can't believe, and again, I never check the lines right before I do these live streams. I'm very busy. I got work. I got other stuff going on. I do other research. I'm not necessarily into the betting lines, even though I've mentioned them so many times. But from what I saw yesterday, the Celtics are favored by 5.5 points in this game. And you can correct me if I'm wrong. If someone could look that up and let me know, that would be amazing. But that is a crazy amount of disrespect to the Knicks. I mean, are they really saying? I mean, like, I'd assume that if the Knicks won Game 4 and they went, yeah, my dad just said 5.5 underdog. So I was right there. The Celtics don't have their best player, straight up. And I still saw people in the Boston Celtics fan community saying that without Jason Tatum, the Celtics are still more talented than the Knicks. Like, when are you going to smarten up? When are you going to give the Knicks the respect they deserve? They were up 3-1 in the series, not because Jason Tatum got hurt, because the Celtics shit the bed in games 1 and 2, and the Knicks outright took game 4 on their own. All right? And games 1 and 2, yes, the Celtics blew it themselves, but the Knicks took it. You know, the Celtics could have played that poorly against the Magic. I can guarantee you that the Magic wouldn't have taken both those games. But the Knicks did, largely due to the fact that they were clutch in both those games. Jalen Brunson hit timely shots. Mikal Bridges. See, Dad? This is my father decided not to hedge the game tonight. You know, we've got season tickets. We've had them as the longest season ticket holders in the Garden. Shameless plug, but they're going to be putting out a feature on a local news network about our family and how we've had season tickets in our family 65, 70 years. So they're very expensive. They're 5th row, middle of the court. If you follow me on Twitter, you see me post from them. And my dad decided not to hedge and bet on the Knicks tonight. So I guess are you rooting for the Celtics in this game? Because you want a game 6, right? I don't know. I mean, that's a tough spot. I said, listen, I'll put the money down if you want. But my dad got some advice from his friend Gary, and he's going to trust that. And I guess you're rooting for the Celtics tonight. But I digress. There's a large amount of confidence coming from a lot of Knicks fans, even though correctly the majority of us are saying, hey, listen, let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's not talk about, Pacers matchups yet, because the Knicks still have to handle business. They still got to take care of the defending champions, Tatum or not. I have a feeling the Celtics are going to get out to a good start tonight. I think that they will play hard for Jason Tatum. Do I think that they win the game? Knock on wood. No, I think the Knicks win this game, even though they're 5.5-point underdogs. I don't know. I just feel like the Knicks are still undefeated on the road these playoffs. I don't think you can overlook that. Like that shouldn't be an understatement. Like that is real. That is like that's a material. Like it's real. Like you could tangibly see that. So that's true. It's clearly because these Knicks perform well in bad environments. TD Garden, if you thought that they were dejected in game 2, if you thought that they were quiet in game 1, just wait till you hear how quiet that crowd is if the Celtics don't get out to a good start. The Celtics can keep it close throughout the majority of the game. I find it hard to believe that the Celtics down 3-1 with the amount of expectations they had going into this season, going into these playoffs, going into this series, that they are going to bring the energy. I just can't see it. I really can't. So it's not like the Knicks are going to be in this, extremely hostile environment. As Jeff said earlier, 24.7% of purchases are coming from the New York area for Game 5 tonight in TD Garden. So you're going to get a large contingency of Knicks fans, and you are going to get a crowd that is quite underwhelmed with how this season has shaped up. It has worked out. Now, if the Celtics go up big and they have a bunch of quick runs, the crowd is going to get into it. Any crowd would get hype. You're looking at a very similar situation to, again, not including the injury, but you're looking at a very similar situation as to what the Yankees did in the World Series last year. In Game 5, going up big 5-0. The crowd was into it, even though, the Yankees went down 3-0 in the series. They had no chance, but the Yankees put together these amazing first 4 innings in which they were up 5-0. So the fans actually had some hope. The Knicks cannot let these Celtics fans have any hope tonight. They need to get out to a good start, or if they get out to a poor start, they need to cut the deficit pretty quickly. And would love to see Mitchell Robinson start. I've been harping on this point now for a few games now, a few live streams, and I really think that if the Knicks want to win, FanDuel. If the Knicks, I don't know what I'm saying. If the Knicks want to win this game, they need to at least close the gap early. I see Boston getting out to a good start. I'd like to see Mitchell Robinson start in this game because defensively, he is as big of an X factor as anyone in these playoffs. You look at guys who could change a series. You saw him do it 2 years ago against the Cavs. He single-handedly won that series, the MVP of that series against the Cavs. Evan Mobley and Jared Allen had no idea what to do with Mitchell Robinson. No team in the NBA is really prepared to face Mitchell Robinson. The one team might be the Oklahoma City Thunder, who have accounted for everything defensively. And it sucked that they won Game 5 last night. I like the Nuggets. I love Joker. He's by far the best player in the NBA. He's a top 20 player to ever play the game. If he wins another championship or two, he can easily sneak into the top 10 in NBA history. That's how freaking good he is. He had one of the best seasons in NBA history. And he still won't win MVP, which is insane. He should be, if he won this year, like he should have, and if the voters didn't have voter fatigue and just gave it to Joel Embiid, he could potentially win 5 MVPs in a row. That's how good he's been. That's how good his prime is. It sucks that the Thunder won that game, though. I think the Knicks stand no chance. God forbid they make the finals. Again, I'm not getting to that point. I know I'm getting way ahead of myself. I need to focus on what's important. If the Knicks want to win this game, again, they need to close the gap early. If they get off to a poor start, if they get out to a good start, it's a good sign for what's to come. Because the Knicks have really not let up in the series. You know, it's been come from behind. They went down 14 on Monday night. You know, they went down 20 in the first 2 games. They like playing from behind. The Knicks are going to put together some runs later on in the game. Well, if you're tied at halftime, or if you're up 5 at half, like that puts you in a really good position considering what the Knicks have done in the second half throughout the course, even Game 3 as well. They played a lot better in that second half. But I just think that's most important. Number 2, probably OG Anunoby has to, shut down Jaylen Brown. And I don't want to understand like how important it is that OG Anunoby can hedge off of Jaylen Brown. Like he doesn't have to be right up in his grill. He can help out elsewhere. He can roam the paint a little bit. Jaylen Brown should be given every single inch of space that he wants. Like he's shooting 22% from 3 this series. Give him as much space as he possibly can need. You know, I see a big game from him. I see a big game from Derek White. These guys are have their backs against the wall. They're going to show up tonight. The Knicks need to win this game on their own. The Celtics are not going to hand them this game like they did games 1 and 2. That's not going to happen. That's my biggest prediction for this night. Like the Celtics are not going to shoot 25% from 3. They're going to have a great offensive game. Obviously, they're not going to have that top option to go to in clutch situations or end of the shot clock situations with Jason Tatum. It is interesting to see who is going to step up in the place of Jason Tatum. Will it be Jaylen Brown? Will it be Derek White? I don't see anyone else. Maybe Porzingis, if somehow he overcomes his illness and starts playing like he did a year ago or 2 years ago. It remains to be seen. I think the Knicks are going to win this game. And of course, I thought they were going to lose the last 4. It's not the one time I think they're going to win. They're probably going to lose. But we'll see. If depending on what happens tonight, I mean, I've worked after the game like I did after Game 4. But we'll see. Maybe do something live. But either way, let's go Knicks. Hopefully they take care of business and it's a stress-free night and a stress-free next few days, not having to worry about playing Game 6. So I'll talk to you when I talk to you. Let's go Knicks.